It's a beautiful December Sunday at Gillette Stadium in New England. We welcome you to America's Game of the Week.
What's going on, y'all? It's Malcolm Jenkins. If you don't know, I played in the National Football League for 13 seasons. I watched hours upon hours of film and studied this game like the back of my hand. And now that I'm retired, I'm trying to figure out how to use all of that knowledge. And I oftentimes find myself watching games back and learning lessons, new things, seeing things that I didn't see before. This series is us going back through game tape, casually checking out the game, learning the history, and plucking out the lessons that we can all carry forward. Let me show you what I see. All right, this week we're breaking down the 2015 matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. Now, this game on paper shouldn't have really meant much. The Eagles were 4-7 going against the 10-1 Patriots at the time. Going into Foxborough, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, everybody had the Patriots selected in this one. But this game is a great lesson in how to overcome superior opponents or challenges, as the Eagles left this one with a victory. But let's go through the first concept, which is when you're dealing with an enemy that might be stronger than you, first, take away what they do best. The Patriots were down Rob Gronkowski, which means that their next best player was either Danny Amendola or their running backs, James White. And so we took our best defender, which is myself, and put me in the slot on Danny Amendola, a smaller receiver, which means that he would have a harder time trying to block me, which would disrupt their running game. But also he was their number one target, and it would also put the teeth of our defense to him, and they'd have to beat us with other people. So you can see right now, my goal against a smaller opponent is to crowd the line of scrimmage. So any short passing game that they try to get, they'd have to essentially block me first. And so this first one, they try to go with a quick screen, hoping to run me out of there with Amendola, but my eyes go straight to number one. I see him stopping, and that is a clear trigger for a screen. I got to beat this tight end, get downhill, get a tackle for loss. There's not enough space for them to have that play. Another example of that, later in the game, I see this receiver in a crack position, which means that he's likely getting ready for a run play. So I put myself in a position in which it makes it difficult for him. And what that does is clear up this run pass read from my corner, Byron Maxwell. My position alone allows everybody to play faster and takes away what they want. They want to run stretch and wind back with LeGarrette Blount, and I have to just put myself there in on the tackle. The next trick to beating someone or taking on an opposition that's stronger than you is to study and look for the smallest chinks in the armor. What are some of the weaknesses that it might not know it has? And that showed up right here on this punt block by Chris Maragos that ended up turning into a touchdown and a devastating sway of energy in this game. Coming into this game, punt blocks are always predetermined. And usually it's because somebody on the punt protection team is undisciplined. And so right here, they're attacking the left guard and the left tackle to see if they can handle these switches and overloads and pass it correctly. And what happens is they don't. You get three guys on two in the interior, and now the punch personal protector, Nate Ebner, number 43, has to choose which one to block. He chooses the defender on the right, and Chris Maragos comes right down the pipe, which gets him free. Now that just creates opportunity. He still has to capitalize on this. We've seen so many guys come free and miss this opportunity to create energy and to block a punt. But Chris Maragos is special for a reason, puts both his hands out, takes it right off the punter's foot. Block is recovered by Najee Good. And right before they go into the half, now the game is tied at 14-14. In a game which, again, the Patriots were really dominating, now all of a sudden is null and void. They come out at half 0-0. And then lastly, when you're dealing with an opponent that may be stronger than you or better than you, you have to find ways to give yourself the opportunity to do what you do best. You got to be able to shine. So for us, that was Darren Sproles. He's one of our most dynamic and explosive players. And so, of course, we're looking for opportunities to get him the football. And no better example than this punt return for a touchdown by Darren Sproles. Two things happen on this. One, we get the ball in the hands of our best player. And then secondly, our best special teams player creates the space for us to do what we do best. And so first we'll focus on Chris Maragos, who does an excellent job setting up the block. You see him chip the center, and then he starts all the way out to the right side of the field. But really, he's responsible for number 43 of the Patriots, who's their best special teams player. He's the guy who destroys any returns. And so if we don't block him, then we won't get the opportunity to actually do what we do best. And you'll see Chris Maragos take the long about rate just to get simply to his outside. Not a big block, but body position is everything right at the point of attack, which frees up Darren Sproles, and Darren Sproles does the rest. He does exactly what we know he can do against any opponent, and that's get into the end zone. But that play doesn't happen unless we do the things that we're supposed to earn the right to do what you do best. That's how you show up against opponents that might be more superior. So as we recap that, how do you take on daunting tasks? 1, take away what they do best. Make sure you don't get beat by what they do best. If you know what's coming, prepare for it. 2, attack the weaknesses. Find an area that you can get into, a little hole, a little room, something that you can do to cause havoc that they're not expecting. And then 3, always protect yourself and make sure you can do what you do best. Show up and give yourself the opportunity to shine in the places that you know you can shine. Don't try to go outside of yourself. Here's a great example of taking away what they do best and specifically making them pay for any mistakes that they do. We're down here in a crucial situation in the red zone. We have our backs against the wall against Tom Brady, and he shows up in this 3-by-1 formation, and we know that his best receiver is Danny Amendola, who they have in the 3 spot. So I'm playing man coverage. I take the outside leverage, knowing that I have Walter Thurman, my other safety, to my left on the inside late. Brady is looking at this essentially as an empty formation. There's a back in the backfield, but James White is a route runner. And within 2 steps of the down, you see they've got spacing all over the field. You see Walter Thurman come to help me. Brady's looking for his one-on-one on the right. That's not there. His second read is Danny Amendola, and he throws this prematurely with Walter Thurman right there. The ball gets popped up, and when there's opportunities to get your hands on the football, got to catch it. You got to take it. That's equivalent of life throwing you a bone. You have to capitalize on the opportunities that are given to you. So whether that's somebody helping you out, getting you into a room that you couldn't, or getting introduced to the right partner, have to capitalize on those opportunities because freebies don't come off in a highly competitive environment. Once you get your hands on the ball, got to get to the end zone. And that is a huge momentum swing. Again, in a game at this point, it's 14-14. This is now 2 unanswered touchdowns, non-offensive touchdowns that nobody accounts for going into a game plan. It's absolutely devastating for the opponent, absolutely invigorating for you. The Eagles team, who should not be in this game, now all of a sudden believes deep into the 3rd quarter that they should walk away with the victory. Sun Tzu said supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. What that means in football terms is how does one scheme up plays or situations to defeat the enemy without having to overpower them? And that showed up in 2 places in this game. Really just how the Patriots were able to structure their formations that caused us problems and gave them success before the ball was even snapped. Let's take a look at it. This formation is 2nd and goal. The Patriots are going in. They're in the red zone. They have all 3 receivers on one side. And what that does is it immediately identifies to Tom Brady that it's man coverage because you have the corners walked over. Now he immediately he wants to go to the right side of his man coverage because that means that backer is on James White, which is a mismatch for any linebacker. And in the way they get him open is they create essentially a stacked formation with this gun near. The tight end will get up and run straight, which occupies both defenders, and James White doesn't go directly to the flat or inside because that could easily be passed. What he does is he hangs right behind the tight end and then decides late on where he wants to go. And what that does is it forces the linebacker and the safety to work together. They have to see this play this exact same way in order to react to it the right way. That takes time, that takes communication, and that takes preparation. And right here, they take advantage of the lack of communication. They end up with 2 defenders covering one. James White is wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. Anybody could have scored that touchdown. And that's just all great schematics and putting people in the right position. On this next play, you'll see how they did the exact same thing, but just on the other side. They come out in a 2-by-2 formation and they're still in the red zone. And what they do is they motion Danny Amendola down into that same stack formation. It's 0 coverage. There's no safety in the middle of the field. Tom Brady sees that. So he knows that this ball's got to come out quick, but also that these are going to be one-on-one routes with no help. And right out of the gate, Danny Amendola stems inside, gives himself some space, and now he's got literally a 2-way go, 53 yards from sideline to sideline to decide if he wants to go left or right. Brady just has to put this up and away from the defender, and it's like stealing from a baby. And that's all just good schematics, putting your best people in space to have opportunity to win. That's what it means to be a coach or a CEO or even a parent. It's like, how do you create scenarios that put the people you're responsible in a position to win easily? And that's where you start to see talent take over. Another thing that jumped off the tape was just how good Tom Brady is at the quarterback sneak. And this is long before we had the tush push where the quarterback sneak became a muscle play. This is when it was really about smarts and timing. And what you see is him controlling the line of scrimmage. He's taking his time. He's looking at what the defense is doing. He shifts to see if they will move or change, and then he looks for the gaps in the line and quickly gets to it. You will see that the Eagles here lined up with their biggest people in the A-gaps thinking that they were going to take away what Tom Brady wanted, and he simply bought his time and ran into the B-gap where there was nobody at. Sometimes football is not that difficult. It's sometimes just looking and seeing where there is no resistance and going there. I think that's a great lesson when we're talking about dealing with high-pressure situations, making good decisions. Don't overcomplicate it. Just put yourself where there is openings and opportunity and allow yourself to win. We'll see here on the goal line what he does, gets in the same formation, and this time he uses tempo to catch us off guard. By the time they snap the ball, you can see almost every defender is still standing up, but he's ready to go. So this is one of those things where I look at it and say it's not only just about knowing where you want to go, but getting there with tempo and catching people off guard. Being there first, being early gives you opportunity. And then lastly, sometimes you just got to be a player. This is 3rd and 1. They're in empty formation. We're clearly getting ready to defend the pass. We've got 3 down linemen. There's nobody defending these B-gaps. Why throw a pass when you can get the sneak here for 2 yards? And this is just taking candy from a baby. He's using his cadence. He's going fast, a quick snap, and he's right to it. These type of decisions, if you see it, take it. Those things are really what keep teams going. Those are what keep your opponents off guard. If they're going to give you an opportunity, take it. So when I look at Brady, even just how he handled his quarterback sneak situations, those are all crucial situations. They're 3rd downs, they're goal line situations where there are a lot on the line, but he's taking his time. He's using his cadence. He's determining the tempo and how fast he wants to go. And then he's making beeline decisions to get to the line. No, he's not playing around. He's not second guessing, right to it. So that's a good lesson to learn. If I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm going against an offense, a quarterback like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who are really good with their cadence, I'm emphasizing to my defense to always be ready. We got to break the huddle, get the call in fast, and always be lined up because you don't know if he's going to go fast, if he's going to go slow. And I think that's what puts the defense in a bind, is that even if we get lined up, now we are sitting there for so long that he can read the defense and get to tell them what we're doing. But if we're disguising too long or lollygagging, he can speed up the tempo and catch us off guard. So that's what cadence and determining the tempo, that's how the stress it puts on the defenders who are trying to match what you're doing. And that's how offenses and quarterbacks in particular can take control of a game before the ball's even snapped. So we've talked a lot about what to do when going against a superior opponent. But in the Patriots' viewpoint, when you're going against a team you should beat, how do you respond? And there was an interesting play call here by Bill Belichick in the second quarter with about 7 minutes to go in the half. He's up 14-0, and he wants to go for the jugular. He wants to put the nail in the coffin and put his team up and make the Eagles quit, essentially. And he goes for a surprise onside kick where there's a drop kick. And the Eagles recover it, putting them in great field position, and then it backfires because they score on that drive. And so when you're looking at how this game played out and how close it was in the end, plays like these and decisions like these all of a sudden have big implications. In strategy, you want to attack weaknesses. You don't want to attack strengths or things that they're going to be ready for. So surprise, especially for an onside kick, is a huge variable. It's very important. One of those things, if you are winning, the best thing to do is keep yourself in a position to win, protect yourself from losing. And that means making good decisions even when you're ahead, not taking your lead for granted. Bill Belichick taught us that lesson in this play. In the Eagles locker room, the way I look at this play is that we're down 14-0. We are already 4-7 versus the 10-1 Patriots. we're looking for every excuse to believe what everybody has predicted about this game, that we don't belong. And them going forward right here and us recovering, it gives us an opportunity to score, which gave us belief. And then soon thereafter, we block a kick for a touchdown. That gave us more belief. Then we return interception for a touchdown. And now we know. And by the time Darren Sproles returns his punt for a touchdown, we're en route. And that's how belief and momentum shifts and catch momentum. That's why it can landslide on you very, very fast from one decision that lasts a whole game. And by the time the Patriots were able to get control over this game, which was late, and they started to make plays and come back, they just ran out of time. So whenever you're in a slide or a rut, something has to change. And I'm one of those people, I love when leaders step up in those times. It's easy to lead when things are going great, and it's hard to when things are falling apart. So defensively, we were coming into this when we had so many high hopes in the season, and we're coming off 2 weeks straight where we give up 90 points, 10 touchdowns. That's just unacceptable. And so something has to change. And when nothing changes, sometimes your players have to, and the captains have to step up. This was a unique team because we didn't have captains. Chip Kelly didn't believe in having standard captains, and we passed around leadership. But when things hit the fan, nobody knew who really to turn to. And so the guys who have been on championship teams and some of the veterans, myself, Darren Sproles, and Chris Maragos, all stepped up that week. Me vocally saying things in the media about accountability and how players need to take ownership, and then doing everything by example. And what that does is it sets the tone. Somebody steps up, you start to have people that you look to that are your captains, your voices when things get hard, and then they lead by example. And what you'll see in this game is those three voices in particular backing it up with play. Now, hey, the last 2 weeks that we put on tape were really not us. And this is the standard at which we're going to operate both in practice and in the games. And that's what you're seeing on the back end of this are veteran players taking over this team and deciding that regardless of what the records say, we're going to represent the team and our last names with pride. And in the end, the final score, the Eagles won 35-28. In a game they almost blew at the end, with the difference being energy. How you beat people or teams or oppositions that might be stronger than you is you find the weaknesses and the chinks in their armor, take advantage of it. And when the pressure is at its highest and it's all on the line, keep it simple. Take what the defense gives you and you set the tempo.